blood draw is a big one. So I got to tell you, so in the book, I have this incredible chapter about blood draw. So you get your blood test. And when you go and get your blood tested, there's something that's been happening in the world that no one had their eye on. And Spirit of Compassion brought it to my attention years ago. And I decided to dedicate a tremendous amount of energy to enlightening people about blood draw, how to protect yourself. So when you go get your blood test, they'll take vials, multiple vials. Many times if you're sick, they'll take 5 vials, 7 vials, 10 vials, 15 vials. If you're really sick and you go to specialists, they may take 27 vials. They'll even take 40 vials of blood. The problem is a large part of your immune system is in your bloodstream. And the reason why you're going to the doctor to get help is because you have immune system problems. You're sick. Something's wrong. Whether it's an autoimmune issue or anything else happening in your body, you're going to see the doctor because you're sick and your immune system is struggling. So they take blood. And the problem, it's a catch-22. It's a vicious cycle. They take too much blood. They're removing your immune system, and you slowly get sicker and sicker. And here's where it's really scary. As you're declining in your health because they're removing blood, they take more blood because you're declining. So what's happening, it's really god awful because so many people have lost their lives in the alternative medicine world and conventional medicine world getting help because they basically have been bled to death. Not literally bled to death in a sense where all the blood out of their body, but instead critical aspects of what's keeping them going alive and strong and battling their illness gets removed out of the blood constantly. I've watched this for years. I've watched people go through hell because of it and lose their lives, essentially. What happens is when you get the blood work, your bone marrow has to go into overdrive, produce immune cells, and already these people who are sick and chronically ill, they're in a deficit. They're in an immune cell deficit. Their lymphocytes, monocytes, basophils, everything is in a deficit. They're struggling. Even if a basic blood test looks to be like, oh, you got an immune system, it's not looking at every part of the immune system for your nervous system, your central nervous system, your immune system for other aspects of the body. So what happens is they draw blood, too much blood. You're getting all this blood work done, getting all these profiles done, and you're going downhill. I've watched it with Lyme disease for years. People with Lyme disease getting 20 vials, then another 20 vials, then a month later, another 20 vials, a week later to another specialist, another 20 vials, until they're bedridden and can't ever get out from under it because all the important stuff, their immune system, critical electrolytes for their brain, for their neurons, critical trace minerals, all being taken out while they're trying to heal, while they're struggling with something that's really hindering their immune system. So what happens is people go and get all their blood work. It lowers their immune system more. Viruses that are affecting them, like shingles, HHV6, cytomegalovirus, HSV1, herpes simplex 1, 2, all the different H8s, HHV8, 7s, all the different viruses people have. They start to rise up and they get all these infections and it makes them worse. So they're sick anyway. They're going to the doctor for blood work and they're getting sicker and they're losing the quality of their life. I was the first to bring this to the world's attention. And I'm still working on getting it out there. It's in the Brain Saver books. But it's critical to know how to protect yourself at the doctor's office.
Yeah. What's the alternative? I mean, what?
I'll give everybody a little window into it now. You want to go with less vials. You want to go with half-filled vials. You tell the doctor you want half vials. Now, they'll tell you that the lab doesn't accept half vials. And they'll tell you that, well, the lab usually, they'll say, we can't make a serum. So we can't make a serum if we don't have enough blood. But it's not true. They throw all the blood away. They use very little. They only need a tiny bit. They can take blood, a speck of blood on a pair of genes from someone who was murdered 40 years ago in a shallow grave and still run an amazing amount of diagnostics, an amazing amount of profiles off that tiny blood. They can take a tiny bit of blood from a baby and do a whole thyroid profile and a whole bunch of other stuff with this much blood from a baby. But what they do, and the system is rigged, I don't know why it's rigged. Maybe it was just the greatest mistake and no one knew. The point is that there's a lot of smart people out there and a lot smarter than me, and this should have been figured out. Mm-hmm. And it shouldn't have been my job to actually alert the world on this, but they're bleeding people to death. They're making them sicker. If you have long COVID and you're now going to the doctor and getting 5 vials, 7 vials, 10 vials, you're going downhill. You're going to have long COVID forever, because what happens is they're removing the immune system that's fighting the very infection that's giving you long COVID. The Brain Saver books have protocols to protect yourself before blood work and after blood work. And it teaches you how to ask for quarter vials, half vials. They'll do it. If you get your doctor behind you, you'll send the blood out at half vials and the lab will take them and everybody will be happy. But if you don't stick up for yourself and fight for it, they'll just give you this runaround. They'll say, oh, no, they need full vials. The lab needs it. The lab has to have it to make a serum. They'll give you every excuse that is not true. And so the blood draw chapter is extensive in here about this piece of information.
Yeah, that's key. I mean, yeah, we need to learn how to be our own advocates. Nobody's teaching us these things. You know, Heal does it a little bit with one aspect. You're doing it about this that we've never heard before, you know, the overdraw of blood. So, I mean, all these things are taking our power back because we're just crippled right now with so many, you know.
It's critical. The blood draw thing is probably one of the biggest. And here's what's incredible: donating blood. So the profound information in here in the chapter is incredible. And this is part of it. Like when you donate blood. So guess who's donating all the blood out there? Sick women. That's who's donating all the blood. Women that should not be donating that much blood because their immune systems are already shot. Their immune systems are struggling. They're already sick with so many different autoimmune conditions, and their doctors are telling them to go donate blood. So the world we live in right now is the people that are donating, the blood donors, this is the majority of the blood donors, are women struggling with chronic illness. And then it's knocking them down more and more, and they're getting sicker and sicker because of it. And their bone marrow has to go into overdrive. They have to try to produce immune cells, and it could take 6 months to even produce the immune cells you need to even bring you back up to par. And when you get like 20 vials, 10 vials, even 5 vials, it can take 3 weeks, a month, 2 months to get your immune system back up to par. But the donating blood thing, I'm not against donating blood. It's just somebody should say something and say, I think we need more healthy guys donating blood. I think that that are not exhibiting any symptoms. I think we need more healthy women that are donating blood. Oh, but they're all too busy because they're living their life, doing their life. And what they've done is, for chronically ill sick women, they put it in their head that they need to go and donate blood and things like that. I mean, there's women that barely could even get out of their cars, drive to a blood donor place, and they're going in to donate blood. The bottom line is it's all to this information so people can protect themselves, really, because what's happening right now at the doctor's offices is people with chronic illness, they may not be able to stand a chance when they're just going through this and going to specialists, and they're getting so much blood work done. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you get free from that? And that's a big part. That alone is worth everything with these books. Wow. Like the Brain Saver books. Just that alone, just having that in your back pocket can literally change your life, your child's life, your family's life.
Wow.
And there's a scale that tips. Like, you could be strong enough and you're getting blood work done. You got autoimmune, you're living your life. And then all of a sudden, that one day you get blood work done and that's all you needed. And then the scale is tipped and now you've got 10 symptoms you never had. And you're now at a specialist getting more blood drawn. It's psycho.
This is a crazy question, but I spoke to a person who was exploring this. What do you feel about testing? Can you test for things through, this might be a little gross for people, through menstruation blood? like blood that's already leaving the system. Can you use that and test it rather than being invasive and pulling out immune
I'm
blood?
sure they can. Absolutely. I mean, they only need a drop of blood and they can literally get full thyroid. They can get, oh my God, full liver. They can do liver enzymes. They can do cholesterol. They can do, I mean, it's amazing what they can get done.
Got it.
They can do nutrients, like how much B12 is in your system and everything else. A1C. You don't need hardly any blood to test for A1C. You don't need blood at all. They got technology now where you don't need blood to check your A1C. But you only need a drop. They really only need that.
Okay.
But they're taking enough blood to fill a sea, an ocean, and then they're throwing it out. Or where's it going? You know?
So good to know. Yeah. Protect your blood, people.